Hello, I'm Jerry, and I'm bringing you another episode of What's Broke Today. Today we have, and which this one isn't totally broke, but this is going to be actually the one I'm fixing. This is my mower that I tow my tool cart around with this, and not every time I start it, but I'd say close to 50% of the time when I go to start the engine, I turn the key to start, and all I hear is click. So I'll let off, and sometimes the second time it'll crank and start. Sometimes it might take 3 or 4 times that before it actually does start. Now, one thing we need to do is, we always want to make sure we have a good battery, because a lawn tractor battery, and this could be, this would apply to, my Craftsman, your John Deere, a Wright Stander, a Hustler, a Skag. Doesn't matter what lawn tractor, you always have to have a good battery. And our first battery test we do is a voltage test, and which I just stick my negative into the negative cable, the wire, and then I'll just come over here to the positive terminal. And a fully charged battery that's been, setting, say, overnight should have around 12.6 volts. Well, I've had this one running today, so I've got 12.75. So we have plenty of voltage. The next thing is we also want to make sure that we got voltage to the, like in this case, I have a starter mounted solenoid that's hang off the side of the starter just like you'd have on a car. So I want to do the same thing, come down here, and I've got 12.74. So I lost, 1/100th of a volt, which, and I'm at 12.74 up top. So in essence, that battery should be good, but just to make sure, and this is where it helped to have an extra set of hands, because you can't always do like I'm doing, sit here and the key is right here. But I'm going to turn the key on, put my meter, get it where I can see it, put the lead on the battery cable at the starter, and I got the key on, and then and of course mine started, but when it cranked, the meter's not super quick, but it went down to 10 volts. So I'm going to say, even though my battery is from 11 of 19, my battery is still good. That if you wanted to go a little further, the other way to testing is, went up to Harbor Freight, and they have a load tester you can buy that all you've got to do is, clip it on the battery. And of course it's got the gauge on it, which, put my glasses on, and sitting here, now this meter says I've got almost 13 volts, but it's got this toggle switch on the bottom. I can flip it and put a load, there's actually a resistance in here, and put a load on the battery, and at my 12 volt scale, I'm still in the green, and say 9.8 volts. So battery is good. And as this thing, as you hold that load pile in there, it might start smoking if you've got a really strong battery, because you might see it coming off of this, and that's from laying out in the barn and getting dust on it. Or you can take the battery out. Most of your auto parts stores, they will do a test your battery for free and see if it's good. That sometimes they got to put in the machine and charge it for a while and then test it, so you might have to wait or go back. But since I know I've got good voltage coming off my battery, and of course all my battery cables are bolted down and they're tight, I can't move them. And since mine does, start most of the time, probably all that's good. That sometimes you'll get these get loose and it won't start, but it doesn't happen very often. But what happens most of the time is, since this has a solenoid on the starter, the little blue wire going down on this one hooks to the small terminal, and depending on what brand mower you got, it could be a yellow wire, it could be a white wire, I think a right standard, it might be green. So yeah, depending on the mower, the color's going to change, but you should be able to get down to the starter, see that small spade terminal that's on the side of the starter, and then we can put our positive, we put our negative back up on the negative cable, our positive down on that small terminal, and then I'm going to turn the key to the start position. And I had roughly 9.5 volts. So, but of course that time it started. I'm going to simulate the problem. So I'm going to take the battery cable off of the battery. I've made me a little jumper wire. I'm going to put on the battery so I can still power up the electrical system on this without, and keep it from cranking. So I'll go back here, and I'm just tapping in at the amp gauge on this one. So the symptom you're going to have with this is you're going to turn the key to start, and you can hear just that click. And when you hear that, of course we want to be on our little wire here and turn it and look at our voltage, and got to be on DC volts. Okay, DC and on. And I've only got 7.3 volts. We're up at the battery. I've got, well, I'm still reading 11. So I'm losing between here and here basically 4 volts. And where I lose that voltage is, of course, our battery terminal on the battery, our little connector here. We got connections at the amp gauge. So there's 1, 2, 3. Then it goes to the ignition switch. Well, of course, it plugs on the ignition switch. There's 4. There's the contacts in the ignition switch. That's 5. The white wire coming off the switch on this is the one that goes to the start. So there's, another connection. Then we go to the power takeoff switch. Well, we got the spade connector plugged into that. Then we got the switch. Then the spade connector where it comes out. Then we go down to the brake switch. Well, we got the spade connector in, the switch inside of it, and then the white wire coming back off of it, which ends up here at the plug-in for the tractor. So I've got another connection here, and then of course this one has a replacement engine, so it's got another connection where the adapter harness plugs onto the new motor, and here it changes from white to blue. And then of course we get down to the starter and we got another connection. So, you turn the key and you hear that when you turn to start. Well, we've got to get around that. And what we're going to do is make a hard start kit. The one thing we've got to watch out for is occasionally people leave the, especially if you run out of gas and it dies on you, or for any reason it dies. The blades were running when it died. And I've had people forget to shut that switch off, and when they do that, you get the loud click just when you first turn the key on. Which I don't know if you can hear that, but that's the electric clutch. And same thing can happen with if you have a lever style where it uses a cable or linkage to engage, that if you've got that, the blades are on, unless somebody's bypassed it, it won't start. And then of course there are a few out there that you actually have to be sitting on the seat for it to start, and that even adds more connections. So how do we get around that? Well, I'll show you in the next segment, because we're going to fix up a hard start kit. Okay, Curtis. Okay, well, we're back, and I got Curtis here. He's wanting to help us too. That I was going to make my hard start kit with my relay. That common relay you find at your auto parts store. It's in the aisle with all your electrical stuff. That basically it's like they call it a fog light relay up where I buy it. But it's just, you know, a 5 terminal, very simple. I think it's rated at 30 amps. Now this one says 30 to 40 amps. So, but I mean it's a decent relay, you know. But it's something like if you put on fog light kit you'd use. Now we're making this relay for the starter where our solenoid is mounted on our starter. That if you have a starter and a separate relay, we'll have to cover that in another video, because this will not apply to you, because if you've got this system, you will never need this little relay. So basically what I start out with is my relay, and I made a little chart here that we look at our relay. I've got 5 terminals, and then one of them's marked to 30. We have 85, 86, 87, and then 87A. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to make lead wires. So like here, number 30 is our input from our battery. So I'm going to just take and I pre-cut a piece of wire. And sorry about that, battery went dead in the camera. So I started out, I'm going to make our battery wire, which is from the battery to terminal 30 on the relay. And just strip the wire, put our end on. And of course, since it's going to the battery, I got an eyelet with a 1/4-inch hole, because my battery has 1/4-inch, you know, battery bolts. I'll crimp it. And then of course, going to the relay, it is a female spade that I need. So we'll trim that down. And we'll crimp that, and of course I buy terminals that are the shrink wrap one, so I can, after I crimp them, I can heat them up and shrink them down. And of course, this female spade, I'm going to shrink wrap the end of the terminal down too. So once we get that done, then this would go on our terminal. Ooh, gotta let that cool. Mark terminal 30. It'll slide on, because how I figured this up is I figured where I'm going to mount the solenoid and how far it is to the battery terminal. Now, say perchance your battery is not close to the starter, like, or to the, you know, front of the mower near the motor like mine is, you could also use a larger ring terminal, put this near the starter, and come off the big lug and just, you know, add an extra wire coming on there and going up to our relay. But since I'm so close, I'm going to take that and run straight to the battery. And of course, originally You went from the battery to the ignition switch, and then when you turn to start, it'd go to the power takeoff switch, then up to the brake switch, then it would go over to the small terminal on the starter. Well, I'm going to put the relay in between, so I'm going to go up to terminal 85. I'm going to pick another color wire, which will probably be white, to go from the original wire to the terminal 85 on my relay, which when you buy the relay, it's hard to see, but in tiny, it has it on there really small, and like even this one has it on top of the relay too. So, you know, if you don't have this, you can look and see what's what on the relay. And likewise, I'm going to make another one almost identical to this out of black wire to go from terminal 86. And I'm going to go straight to the battery because I'm so close, but all it has to do is go to ground somewhere. This could bolt to the side of the motor, it could bolt to the frame, any place you've got a handy bolt that's ground to put the red wire on from terminal 85. And then I'm going to make one that's got spades on both ends and probably use the blue wire, and I'll go from 87 around and hook onto the small terminal on the starter in place of the wire that's now going to 85, because on our relay 85 and 86 are the ones that activate the relay. So when there's no power to the relay, my positive is coming in 30 and it goes out to 87A when the relay is off. When you turn the relay on and you put power through 85 and 86, it transfers and it comes out 87. So I'll turn the key, relay will activate, and I'll go from battery to relay out and to the starter and avoid all these connections that I had before. Now, I kind of cheated a little on this one because so occasionally you can buy, when you buy a relay, like I buy these online, so they come with plugs that have pigtails. So I make up my pigtail, and of course I've got a black to go to the battery, negative, a red to go battery positive. This yellow is going to go down, and I'm going to pull off the starter, plug onto my yellow, and then the blue is going to go down and plug in on the starter, and I'm going to have this kind of down near the battery, so it's going to be near the battery, then be able to reach and hit the starter. This makes it a lot easier as long as you got wires that are long enough that, you know, if not, you got to do a bunch of splicing to lengthen these. Yeah, probably not the best idea. But yeah, that's basically it. That I'll hold that up so you can get a better look at my diagram. That terminal 30, hot from the battery. Terminal 85 is what I'm going to hook to the old ignition excite wire. 86 going to ground, which ends up back at the negative on the battery. I'm going to take terminal 87 and hook it up to the small terminal on the starter, and away we go. So next step is let's go put this on the mower and see if it works. Alright, I brought the camera around where I take a extended shot of the that diagram I made, that in case you want to take a better look at it or maybe even take a screenshot of it, I thought I'd give you about 20 seconds worth of this to watch. Well, we're back at the starter, and I've got my hard start relay, which we call it a hard start kit, but it's just a relay. And I figured that, you know, I really don't want it on the motor just because all the vibration would probably shorten the life of this relay. So what I did was I figured, well, my positive's up here, so I figured that'll fit on the positive terminal. I can hang this off of the negative battery cable. I got a blue wire that'll reach down to the starter. Of course, our yellow wire that I'm going to plug the old blue wire into is way too long, but we'll just zip tie that out of the way. Now I've got my black wire to go up here to negative. So, let's put this together. Now, while we was gone, I did take my knife and some sandpaper, and the positive terminal was kind of dirty. So I cleaned it. And I'm going to take my little wire off that we was just doing our testing with and examples. I'm going to remove it and hook everything back up like it's supposed to be, and we don't need that no more. So I'm going to start out with our red wire for our hard start kit, and put our battery terminal cable on. We'll put that together. Alright, and then I'll go ahead and loosen this one, and now I'm going to take my black wire with the ring terminal, and we'll just do it. We'll move it on the other side. We'll put the bolt through, and I always put the ring terminal in between the battery terminal and on the battery and the terminal on the cable, and sandwich them that way. And then we can tighten them both up. And of course, you got to be careful, because you don't ever want to jump accidentally with your tools, touch across both terminals, because it will spark, and you could blow up a battery, or battery's got enough amperage in it. If you short across it, this wrench would get really hot in a hurry. So then we get this on our battery, and then I can pull our terminal off our starter, and I'm gonna fit that together. And using this aftermarket terminal, this is going to be kind of loose, so I take a pair of pliers and I'm going to crimp that down a little till when I plug that in, it's good and tight. Of course, this is our wire off of terminal 87 on the relay, or 85 on the relay is the yellow wire, which is coming from the original signal wire. Now I'm going to take my new signal wire, push it onto the starter, and that's the one that goes to terminal 87. And then I'm going to go ahead and, I had a zip tie. There it is. I was going to through there, around there, and let that hang. So what we've got now is our old signal wire coming from the tractor is powering terminal 85. Terminal 86 is going straight to the battery, and that's the ones that are going to activate our new relay. So when I turn the key, ground, hot, relay will close. It'll take the power from the battery to the relay, from the relay down to the starter. So we went from probably, say, 12 to 15 different places or connections where we could lose power. We've got 1, 2 is where the wire plugs onto the relay, 3 is the contacts in the relay, 4 is the terminal, the spade coming out of the relay, and 5. So we've cut them in less than half. And then once we get all that put together, get that where it's out of the way, and I'll get around and take this, and I'll get another, actually we'll just use this zip tie. This is not really a zip tie, but it'll function as one. We can just slide that up through there, pull it tight, and then this just locks. So we got that all together. So now when I turn the key, everything turns on like it should. But then when I go to start, instead of going through everything else on the mower, it's just going to go boom to boom. And of course, that little hesitation we got there is because I got a battery that's almost 4 years old that I'm going to have to replace in the near future. But with a good battery, this thing would just, take off and go. And I've had the key on and use, pulling power out of it, shooting this video, which I've restarted because after I looked at it the first time, I realized I gabbed a lot and didn't say a whole lot. So, but yeah, that's just making a hard start relay. That you figure, I bought these, I buy these probably 10 at a time online. So between a relay, I think I get 10 of these for like 20 bucks. So say $2 for the relay with this harness and plug. And then I buy I buy a huge terminal kit, which I probably got another, say, $20 in. So me building this and doing it building my own, I probably really got less than $5 in the whole kit. Now you can Google on, or go online and do your search however you prefer, and search for a lawnmower hard start kit, and you can actually buy this already made. Just the wires are super long and you just got to tie up the excess, because you don't ever want any of these wires getting caught in anything on the mower that moves. Because I got openings, the transmission belt is like, say, just right down there, so you can't have anything falling and hanging down in that area. And of course, this could apply to any kind of a mower that has a starter on it with a solenoid mounted to the starter. And you'll find this, it's usually on the bigger, because this is a 25 horse Kohler, and you find it usually on the bigger mowers. They have usually a twin cylinder motor, and it can be a Kohler, it could be a Kawasaki, it could even be a Yanmar on your John Deere. I mean, you'll still have the same issue every once in a while. And when I have that, and it's usually on commercial mowers because they're used every day and they're so dirty and dusty. I mean, just the vibration of it running will vibrate and loosen up those spade connectors where they plug onto the different terminals. So I make these hard start kits, and get them going. I'll say that'll conclude another episode of What's Broke Today. That I hope you found this one useful. That when I get a mower in that has the solenoid separate from the starter, I'll run through doing some testing on that one. And it's getting close to the fall, so I don't know if I'll see one this year. So it may be next spring before I see one. But I appreciate you watching. If you found this video helpful, give me a thumbs up for a like. Got comments? Get in the comment section and send me a message or a question. I don't always get back to them right away because I get busy around here, and I may not I may film 2 or 3 things in a day, but it might take me 2 weeks to get all everything edited and put together. But this is just another deal where you don't know what you'll see on What's Broke Today. So subscribe to my channel and keep an eye out for what's coming next. Thanks for watching.